the show.
Thank you.
Jeff, you run several events throughout the year, sci-fi events. Give us the names of them and tell us a little bit about each one of your events.
Well, the first one I started was Avalon Expo. And then I have one Buren Expo that's in Marystown and CDOT-Con in Clarenville. Avalon Expo is in St. John's. It's similar to Sci-Fi in the Rock, which I'm sure many people may know about. That's the granddaddy of the conventions here. This year, 2021, was the 7th Avalon Expo, and it's generally in the summertime, and it's a fun event. Buren Expo is in Marystown, like I said, also the 7th one here this year on Thanksgiving weekend. We have about 300-ish people go to that one. Avalon Expo, around 1,000 people at Avalon Expo, and the one CDOT-Con, which was first started in 2021 in Clarenville, about 250 was for the first date, which was pretty good. And the CDOT-Con and Buren Expo are half-day events, whereas Avalon Expo is a 3-day full weekend with a full selection of things to do and much bigger, obviously.
Okay, so let's start off at the beginning. Avalon Expo. How many years ago?
Well, this year was the 7th.
7th year. Okay, for somebody that's brand new, I call them all comic book conventions.
Well,
so would yours fall under comic book conventions, or what would you call yours?
The definition I've come to is fan convention.
Fan convention, okay.
But comic books are definitely in there. Sci-fi, fantasy, gaming, pop culture, all of that. I mean, that's sort of the bubble.
Okay, yeah.
That encompasses everything like that. If you have fun doing something that might be termed geeky or nerdy, you're going to find it at Avalon Expo.
All right, so you got a brand new client, customer, attendee, whatever we want to call it, fan, just bought their ticket coming in through the door. What can they expect to see and do at Avalon Expo? People
in costumes. Maybe they'll be in costume. Not everybody's comfortable in costume. You're going to have every skill level of costumes.
Okay.
And every one of them is fantastic. Of course, there are some amazing costumes out there. And then there's, I would do a very basic costume if I were to do a costume. But you put, you put your love and your heart into it, and it's worth every much as the amazing costumes.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll see huge selection of vendors that sell everything of geeky items.
Okay, so what kind of vendors would you find at Avalon Expo?
Toys, collectible card games, board games, local crafts and art in a geeky vein. There's some clothing. Just trying to come back to me right.
Yeah. So is this all the stuff that you would see? I call them vendors or the stores. Yeah. All those people selling stuff at Avalon Expo, would that be all mass marketed stuff like you would see at a comic book shop, or do you have local people making their own arts and crafts and Harry Potter wands and all this kind of do people make their own stuff and sell there?
Both, actually. Okay. We have vendors that sell the mass market stuff. Funko Pops obviously are one of the biggest items you're ever going to find at one of those. We do have some local comic shops that do also go to the events. Even just to be among their people.
Sure, yes.
But there's also a lot of arts and crafts done by local artists. There's also local authors, especially in the sci-fi and fantasy genres.
Yeah.
So just everything under the sun in that nerdy, geeky vein.
What kind of events would usually be at your convention?
Well, there's the free flow stuff like just board games. Just we have a library of board games that people can just take them and play with people they know or people they don't know.
Okay. And that would be set up in the place there somewhere. Like
we have a room that's sort of a relaxing room that you can do casual stuff like that. And there's board games, there's video games. Also, a lot of the local groups, actually they'll also have tables. A lot of the local groups do panels where they talk about their group, or they may talk about a particular subject in their group. Like maybe there's an issue in Star Trek that somebody wants to talk about and have a panel about it. And anybody can sign up to do panels. Like I said, you don't have to be a group, you can be an individual. Anime is one of the most popular stuff, and there's a few anime panels that are very heavily attended.
Okay, yeah.
Where people talk about aspects of the anime. I mean, it's beyond me, to be honest, because I can't.
Sure.
I run the convention, I try to make a space where these things can happen.
Yes.
And I try to know as much about everything as I can, but it's impossible to know everything.
That's true, yeah.
It's a whole world.
Yep,
and
it certainly
worlds
is.
within worlds.
Yeah, it certainly is. So if somebody's really into a certain type of TV show or comic book or whatever, and they want to do a panel, and they might think other people might be interested, so they just contact you on your webpage or Facebook and say, this is the idea that I've got, can I apply to put off a panel?
Yep, that's it. We have a sign-up form, and people suggest their ideas, and we fill out our schedule. Yeah, and we've had, just like you said, people have a show they might want to talk about, and they'll have a panel about that, and then people will go. And it's not just somebody standing up and talking about it. I mean, it's an interactive thing, and just to be among your people, be among the people that have the similar interests, and you'll find them at Avalon Expo and the other events and similar events.
So I guess too, like if someone, I don't know, I'll pick Spider-Man for an instance. If someone's really interested in Spider-Man and they want to do a panel on Spider-Man, it might be a nice way for them to meet other Spider-Man fans that would come to the panel.
Absolutely, because I mean, we've got, social media is a great way to get in touch with people, but really the in-person stuff is what everything's about, and this is a place where everybody comes together to enjoy the things they enjoy in a safe, comfortable environment. You meet new people, go with the friends you already have, make new friends. You know, that's what it's about. That's
what it's all about. It is. And you mentioned local community groups. Can we have an example of one or two of them, or?
Steampunk NL, that's sort of a Victorian sci-fi. They'd be better to talk about that themselves.
Okay, yeah.
There's also there's a local plastic modeling group that's been at our convention.
Yeah.
There are charities that do gaming, like.
Sandbox, I think they call it.
Sandbox gaming.
Sandbox gaming.
This is the problem. Remembering everything.
Sandbox gaming. Everything, yes.
And Extra Life Newfoundland is another one. They raise money for the Janeway.
Okay.
Sandbox Gaming raises money for a number of causes. They'd be good to talk about that themselves, of course. Yeah. There's an anime society at Mon. You know, a little bit of everything.
Little bit, that's what it sounds like, because you have your vendors.
Yep.
And then you have your panels and your workshops.
Yep.
That people can go to.
Yes.
And then you've got the local, what I call community groups or fan clubs and that. Now, what's the age? Is there an age limit or a minimum age? Like if somebody's got kids 5 or 6 years, like it's their starting age?
No, there's everybody from you know, there's people that come there with their babies and strollers.
Oh,
but
excellent.
You know, obviously young kids have to go with an adult, of course.
Sure, yes, yeah.
But that's some of the best things that you see are the kids just having fun. Like I remember we have a blow up ear puff thing of Olaf.
Oh yes.
The snowman from Frozen.
Yes.
And there was a little kid that would just come up and hug it.
That's sweet.
And just in their glee, and it was just amazing to see that.
That's
you know,
so nice.
that it's little things like that make the events worth it.
It does, yeah. That's nice. So. Now so we covered Avalon Expo a little bit. What's your next event? Like what would be next in line there now? You said something in Buren?
Yeah, well, like I say, Buren Expo is Thanksgiving weekend this year.
Yeah.
In Marystown at the Marystown Hotel and Convention Center. That's a half-day event, noon to 6 on the Saturday, and you know, there's a number of local vendors. There's vendors that come from town. There's vendors that come from outside of town. We have games and panels. It's like a little mini. I call it a nano-con.
Nano-con, that's a good word for it.
Because it's sort of a half-day thing.
Sure.
You know, because it's sort of a little nano version of a full convention.
And what happens there in that little NanoCon for those few hours? Same as a convention, like
Same as the big
panels?
one, just
Yeah.
compressed down. We've even had, there have been guests over the years,
Oh, nice.
but local guests,
Yeah.
because it's it's smaller, but there's nothing wrong with local guests, of
Oh
course.
my goodness, local guests is what a lot of people
Yeah.
are really interested
I'd
in.
like to have as many local guests as
Yeah.
possible.
Yes.
And people will talk about, again, the things that the subject matter that they're interested
Sure,
in, and
yeah.
friends will meet, and
Yeah.
new friends will be made, and they'll
Excellent.
have fun playing games, video games, board games,
Perfect.
Lego, have a big
Yep.
Lego build table,
Good.
everything like that.
And your third event?
Third event, that's C.Con in Clarenville. Like I said,
Clarenville.
the first one was this year, and it did amazingly for a first event.
Good.
Like I said, 250 people, which for a small community, relatively small community, is really good. A lot of people had fun. It was, again, a half-day event on a Saturday, noon to 6.
Good.
That was at the Clarenville Inn.
Okay, so we've got 3 events. Someone wants to become a vendor, they want to sign up for a panel, they just want to buy tickets. How do people find you? How do they find your events?
The easiest way is the Avalon Expo webpage or the Avalon Expo Facebook group, avalonexpo.com, bureauexpo.com, and c.con.com.
Right? Okay.
And of course, we're, like I said, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah. All right, well, Jeff, thanks for coming on the show today. And guys, you want to get more information on Jeff's event, check out his webpage, and we'll be right back after this. And thank you, Jeff, for bringing us into the world of conventions and your events. Next up, we have Ryan Skanes, SabreSmith. Ooh, here we go. Look at this. And welcome to the show, Ryan. Ryan is a SabreSmith.
There you go.
Have I got that right?
Yep.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Oh, good to be here.
Lightsabers. Give us a little history and tell us what you do with them, please.
Well, I build them. That's what a SabreSmith does. And particularly, we normally build this part, the hilt,
Yeah.
the part that everybody handles.
Right.
You can build your own blades if you really want to, but
Yep.
they sell them for fairly cheap. They're not hard to find. The biggest thing is these all came from Star Wars. Like, we all recognize this guy.
Yes, we do.
One of the, I think it's called the greatest MacGuffin ever in film.
Okay,
Drives
explain
the plot.
that one.
Drives the plot.
Yes.
Luke's lightsaber.
Okay.
This is Luke's from Empire Strikes Back, actually. It's a
when
replica.
he had his hand cut off?
No, this is from
No?
the Wampa Cave scene. So where
The
he cuts
Wampa
off the
Cave.
Wampa's hand.
Okay.
There's a couple of details of this guy that make it special to that particular scene, because obviously the prop throughout the movie process changes.
Okay.
This is a custom one-off piece that was made for that character in that scene. Obi-Wan had one, Darth Vader had one, and everybody sort of fell in love with this as a handheld tool that I want one. It can
Right.
cut through anything, I can do anything with it. And then you get into the Jedi Order and all of this, the lore behind it of your lightsaber is your tool, it's your life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel that way today with knives and swords and tools that they use.
Sure, yeah.
So it's something that we can all sort of come to.
Now, I got to get some geek credit here now because I just made a mistake. So, what lightsaber did he have when he had his hand cut off?
He had a version of that.
Okay, so
It
I
was
am-
the Graflex.
I am half right.
Yep.
Okay, good, okay.
It was a different version of Graflex.
Yep.
This was changed, and the back collar was changed.
Okay,
But he lost it then because it fell down the ventilation shaft.
that's right.
Yeah. So this is the one that was lost and then refound by Maz later on, and that's
Right
it
on.
has its own story.
That's right, yes.
But people, fans of Star Wars, have discovered that they can build their own. And somebody like myself as a SabreSmith can build a custom hilt. So this is my personal custom hilt that I've been playing with for a while now and designing and learning how to build a lightsaber.
Okay.
It's not that heavy. It's all made of machined aluminum parts. The parts
Nice and
themselves
light.
can be found online, yep.
So, is this one solid milled piece?
Nope, that is about 5 different milled pieces.
Okay.
And all of those are catalog pieces.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Press and hold.
There you go. Don't give toys to Darren. Okay.
That's fun. Those are catalog pieces you can buy
Yeah.
and assemble yourself.
Okay.
And then you modify, like I've added a wrap to this one. The problem is once you have a hilt, it's basically like this guy. This guy's an empty. There's nothing in it.
Okay.
There's no light, there's no sound. So if you want light and sound, you need somebody like a SabreSmith like myself that will add those features.
Oh, that is so nice. Oh, that is too cool.
Yeah.
And it picks up when you move it.
That's a feature called Smooth Swing. Hit it harder.
Oh, awesome.
It has all of the premium features. This
That
is
is so nice.
This is a premium lightsaber.
That is so cool.
Now, it should be noted that there's
Yep.
a little bit of a history to these.
Okay.
So, lightsabers of this style started out back in like 2006 when Master Replicas came out with a series called Force FX.
Okay.
These were the first lightsabers to ever have motion tracking with sound. It had never been offered before. You had light and you had basic sound.
Right.
So this is an actual Force FX lightsaber. It's Obi-Wan's saber, but as you can tell, it's not tracking
No,
very
it's,
well.
it's making noise on its own without you moving.
Yeah. This was the very first iteration of that type of a system.
Right.
The blade does the full retract. It actually has LEDs inside the blade. It's an
Okay.
extremely detailed piece
It is very nice.
for something that you could buy.
And these are one of the first ones that came out.
That's the second generation. There was one previous to that that came out. The difference between the two is this one has a removable blade. The previous one did not.
It's nice and solid too. Like
It
it's
is.
not something.
It's mostly milled aluminum.
It's not like something you feel like you're going to break if you hit
Nope.
it. It's like it's got.
Now the
some
blade
oomph
is
to
not
it.
what we call dual rated. It's not meant
Yeah.
for combat, but it was like you could smack this around your house and play with it, and it actually did. For the first time ever, somebody could buy this
Yeah.
and play with a lightsaber.
Nice.
Now the problem is this is Obi-Wan's.
Right.
This is not my lightsaber.
No.
The next iteration of this is something that Disney has done recent years, is you can build your own lightsaber in their shop in Galaxy's Edge theme park called Savi's Saber Shop.
Okay.
So this is my personal saber that I made when I went there.
Nice.
The tracking is a little better, but it's not great. Now, what's the big difference between those two?
It's very heavy.
Yeah.
really heavy.
To make a personalizable saber, they had to use plates that go over a chassis,
Yeah.
and it makes it very heavy.
And it doesn't seem like the pieces
Yep.
seem a little bit loose or.
There's 6 main pieces of that body, and then there's an inner core.
Yep.
So, now this is dual rated. Kids can take this and whack it around, and it doesn't matter.
Okay. Yep.
The next iteration of this is if you want something a little bit better, but you don't want to break the bank,
Right.
you can go to something like this. This is a Pox Store Maverick V3. It has its own lights and sound built in,
Yep.
and it has a combat rated blade. This
Now-
can be used for like Sabre Legion style fighting.
Now explain that.
Full on contact lightsaber fighting.
Two guys going.
Yep.
At it.
There is a form to it that you're supposed to follow, but
Right.
you can just swing at each other as hard as you want. And this can take it.
And that can take it.
This has done that.
And it won't break.
Nope. Well, as you can see, this is the same blade and original hilt. The only difference to this guy is the hilt has been wrapped in leather and aged and weathered. Now, turn that one on. Just press. Press quick. There you go.
Nice.
So, move it around. Does it feel as nice as the first one?
Nope.
No. The electronics are cheap.
Okay.
So it's done to a budget. Now, if you're a guy at
that's
home
neat. Yep.
and just want a lightsaber to play with, this is a great option.
Yep.
This is about $100 US.
Okay.
All done.
All done.
Now, this was obviously customized a little bit. I've
Sure.
added a D-ring and I've added the leather wrap.
Yep.
It's been weathered, it looks a little older. But this doesn't meet my standard for
Okay.
what a lightsaber should be.
All right.
And then what we talked about previously was the ultimate.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that.
So this is a fully custom machined lightsaber that has all the fancy internals and programming. I have 18 different fonts in this right now.
Oh wow,
So that's one.
that's cool. Yeah. Oh, that's neat.
Like there's all of these different fonts
Yeah.
that you can add to this. And this is just unlimited, what you can do with this.
I like holding that one because, but again,
Yeah.
it's light, but it's solid, it's firm.
Yep.
It's like you don't feel any movement. It's nice and like.
It's
you
very
just-
well built.
You just want to go find somebody and lay a beating on them. It's like, come here.
Yeah, and
That is so cool.
It's sort of the ultimate. Now, one of the longer pieces is you can't even go further.
Okay.
You can add interiors, like crystal chambers and interior assemblies. This one will eventually get one of those. This is currently empty.
Okay.
So this one is eventually going to be top of the line type thing with an internal chassis and everything else. And this is actually what an internal chassis of a lightsaber looks like.
Oh, wow.
So the control board, the battery, the speaker are all in one assembly, and it keeps it all protected inside the hilt.
Inside the hilt. So these sensors are in this also?
Yep, the sensors are in the board in the front,
Wicked.
all in one shot.
Everything's all together.
Yep, so that's the same board that is in this guy.
It's in that guy there.
And that chamber is going to be going in this lightsaber.
You can take that because I'll break that.
Well, this one's currently under construction, so there's not
Yep.
much to break yet.
Good. Good, good, good. I really love that one though, because like when I think of Star Wars, that's the one, Luke's one, right?
That's Luke's.
That's Luke's, yeah.
It goes by many names, obviously because it changed hands multiple times.
Yeah.
Anakin
Oh.
originally made it,
Yeah.
and then Luke was given it by Obi-Wan, and then
Right.
Rey found it later.
That's right, yeah.
And there's many other people in between that. But when you talk about like the ultimate lightsaber and colloquially like lightsaber,
Yeah.
this is what you think of.
Now, the pattern for that one, or the idea for that, where did that, I've heard a lot of stories. Do you know where it actually came from? Like what that actually really was?
Yep, so this started out life as a Graflex flash hilt.
Okay.
So on a camera, you would have a tube right here
Yes.
and a big flash bulb up here.
Right.
There was a little control assembly here and a button here,
Yep.
and this was a battery down in the bottom. And you could hold this with your camera and press the button, and it would put the flash off.
So the old-fashioned black and white movies we've seen years
Yep.
ago of the press guys running around with their camera
Yep.
with the big flash bulb into it,
That's what it is.
that is the part that the flash bulb goes into.
And this is actually based on a replica of a 3-cell flash, and you can actually see the markings on the back.
Oh, that is cool.
So this is matched to what the guys made, and
Yeah.
they pulled this out of parts boxes that they just had floating around in the props room. So like all kinds of little greeblies to add on, a
Yeah.
little clamp card that came out of a HP printer. These came off of a
Now,
wiper,
These things I was going to ask you about because I've heard a lot of things about these in the
the
past.
T-Tracks.
T-Tracks. What are they from?
A John Deere tractor wiper blade.
Seriously.
Not joking. Cut up a wiper blade and nail it on, glue it on or whatever.
We've got a wiper blade. And what did you say this is from?
This is little tiny PCV card down here. It's called a clamp card.
Yep.
That's actually from a HP printer from back in the day.
Wow.
That's a little card slot goes
Yeah.
inside.
And the handle itself is from an old camera.
Graflex flash.
Can you imagine having a job at ILM and say, look, someone go build me something?
Oh, no, I couldn't do that because I can't do what they do.
Imagine the fun that they have. It's like, oh, we got to build this today. I was like, okay. That's
Well, or
amazing.
somebody comes in and says, I want like a little sketch of something and I want this in real life.
Yeah.
And you got to make it cool and people are going to want it. And,
Yeah.
and then it happens to be this is the very first one that anybody ever sees.
That's right. Yes, yeah. But now you're getting into making these. That's my lead up to this now.
Yep.
You're getting into making these. So if somebody wanted a lightsaber built, custom built, how would they contact you?
The best place to contact me is through Facebook.
Okay.
I do have a page there called Formori's Workshop. It's an old fan page from cosplay things and other things on my workbench,
Okay.
odds and ends. And it's slowly turning into more lightsaber-centric builds and everything else.
Yep.
I currently have 3 different customers all looking for different things.
Okay.
One guy is simply looking for an upgrade to his existing hilts.
Yep.
He has a couple of his kids' hilts are stunt sabers, so they have lights only, and he wants to add sound.
Yep.
So I'm going to be doing that for him, and I have a couple of customers who want fully custom hilts, just like this guy.
Just like that guy.
So that process takes a lot longer.
Yep.
Not only do you have to get the parts, you have to figure out the design and what's feasible given the parts that are available.
Gotcha.
I currently don't mill parts. I can do
Okay.
all of the internal electronics
Yep.
and the internal breakouts and things like this. But there's lots of options available now for how hilt designs look,
Okay.
different manufacturers, things like this.
Perfect. Well, Ryan, thank you very much for bringing this in today and showing us all about lightsabers.
Not a problem.
And if you want to get a lightsaber custom made, contact Ryan, and we'll be back right after this. If you have comments or guest ideas for Pocket Universe, please email darren.pocketuniverse@gmail.com. Oh, I'm finally getting warmed up after being in that glacier. I want to thank Jeff Power for coming on the show, talking about his convention and his events, Ryan Skanes for showing us all about lightsabers, and I want to welcome you guys to come back again next time for another episode of Pocket Universe. Now I got to get myself warmed up.
With the local group of geeks that are here in St. John's, the creativity is explosive compared to most anywhere else I've seen. You know, like per capita of geeks, we'll say.
Yeah.
So to stock the place with creative, like artsy things and cosplay and photo, it was easy because we just reached out to our local friends and community and said, hey, we're doing this idea. We want it to look, and then it almost instantly became a museum to our local cosplay community.
The following program